conference will now be recorded.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the February 4th TAC meeting. I will go ahead. It is 9:32 and call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and we will roll right into agenda item 2, which is opportunity for public comment. Anybody from the public? Anybody online from the public that wishes to make comment? Okay. Agenda item 3 is an action item regarding approval of the minutes from the January 7th, 2026 meeting. Are there any revisions or changes needed to the minutes? I'll make a motion to approve. I have a motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item 5 is a discussion item regarding FY25 KTMPO planning metrics, pages 15 through 16. Callie?
Where's the public engagement schedule first?
Oh, I checked that one off, so that's on me. Item 4 is a discussion and action item regarding recommendation to approve KTMPO public engagement schedule for 2026. Anita.
Thank you. This is a tentative schedule of all the public engagement activities that KTMPO would like to host and get buy-in from TAC and Policy Board. It is also, it's a draft idea of what's going to be taking place. The things that are we're going to do resolutions for are the Distracted Driving Awareness Month. That's going to be a big one for April. And so we'll be looking for additional buy-in at that time. May is another large one. June is National Trails Day. Can you go to the next screen, please? Thank you. And then in September, we have National Car Seat Check Safety Saturday. October is Pedestrian Safety Month. And then October is also Like Texas. And that's a new activity that has been proclaimed by Governor Abbott, where everyone gets off their screens and goes outside. So these are the tentative schedule dates where we're looking to have resolutions approved by TAC with specific community opportunities. And so we'd be looking towards each of the cities, counties, and different jurisdictions to participate in those activities. Do y'all have any questions?
Any questions? That is an action item. I will entertain a motion if there aren't any questions on that. Move to approve. A motion. One second. All right. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. All right. Now, agenda item 5 is a discussion item regarding FY25 KTMPO planning metrics. Callie.
All right, here's a graphic that we made just kind of highlighting what all we accomplished this year. We've got all of our public comments that we've received, then the UTP allocations for 2025, and we list that we're serving a population of almost 500,000 with 26 TIP projects amended, about 30 hours of committee meetings, 19 public engagement activities. And then the big boy, the in-kind match that we were able to achieve and receive for our SS4A grant, which is really huge for us. It's a big effort for the whole team, I would say. And about 200 hours of staff training that includes conferences, different meetings we've had with like TechStop for our TDM, things like that. So that's for our whole team. And then covering about 10,000 lane miles and $21 million of TIP projects program just for 2025. So that was our year kind of highlighted, and we just wanted to share that with you.
Any questions? Thank you, Callie. All right. Seeing no questions, we will move to agenda item 6, which is a discussion item regarding the FY25 Hill Country Transit District Service Performance and Marketing Recap. Is Nicole online?
Hi there, good morning. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, my name is Nicole Crim. I'm the VP of Strategic Services at the Hendrickson Transportation Group. And I am currently supporting the HOP from a strategic and tactical marketing and communications perspective. And also joining virtually is my colleague, Raymond Suarez, who is the GM at the HOP. So today I'm really excited to share with you a presentation that we gave to our board last month. And it's really just a high-level 2025 recap, kind of summarizing operational performance, rider survey results, and a recap of marketing and communications initiative. So we hope that this gets you excited for 2026. But before I start, I do just want to give a shout out to the HOP staff. They have been fantastic to work with and to support, and they have a great willingness to try new things. And so I just want to make sure that they're recognized as I'm the one that gets to present this information. So what is on this slide here is just a summarized version of the HOP's more detailed annual metrics report, where we've pulled out high-level metrics of interest and kind of formatted it in a more shareable way. Overall, our operational metrics are moving in the right direction as we compare this to 2024 performance. And without going maybe into too much detail, I'll kind of call out overall system ridership of nearly 700,000, which is up 142% as compared to 2024. And I'll also call out customer satisfaction, which is up from 93% in 2024 now to 96%. And we really think that that's attributed to the reduction in wait times that we're seeing compared to 2024. So our wait times went down from almost 16 minutes to now 13 minutes and 30 seconds. So overall, we're seeing operational improvements across the board as we compare 2025 performance to 2024. On the next slide, we are providing, again, a snapshot of a recent rider survey that was conducted in October of 2025. We had nearly 1,000 submissions, which led to a 99% confidence level and a 4% margin of error in overall data. And again, this slide is a summarization of that data, kind of formatted in an easy way to share. But I do think it is worth calling out, especially as we look at the types of trips, and the types of riders that we're serving. Household income and trip purpose, I think, are really key here. And though the data that we received from the survey really confirmed that the HOP is largely delivering trips to low-income users who need access to critical services and locations. And we will conduct this survey again in 2026 and provide similar updated metrics. The next three slides, again, are just kind of a high-level summary of our 2025 marketing and communications initiatives, which were really revamped in late Q1 of 2025. We've broken down kind of our task list by quarter and shared some image samples of the work that was done, although it's really just the tip of the iceberg. And I think as you'll see here, as we gain traction throughout the year, our task list became much larger with more robust marketing and communications initiatives, which means that more information was being shared with riders and communities than ever before. And I would like to just highlight a few of the big wins for the team. So while Q1 was all about planning, we moved into the rest of the year. We really opened the gates on the marketing and communications initiatives that you'll see. As we go, if you go back one slide to Q2, we kickstarted the rebrand process, which we'll talk about in a couple of slides. We launched a new website, which is seeing upwards of 600 clicks per day, which is up 100% compared to the previous site. We also introduced a new social media strategy for the HOP's Facebook. So if you're not following, please follow us. But we're seeing a 277% more content being posted as compared to 2024. And our engagement is also up 217%. And then we also developed one-pager templates that we're using to kind of share custom information with the community about rider tips and service changes, service launches, and more. As we look into Q3, again, that list gets longer. We launched a comprehensive public engagement process and service change campaign to support the October 2025 service changes, resulting in nearly 100 public comments that really helped inform our board on making decisions around those service changes. Engagement for that particular initiative were up 800% compared to prior years for public engagement processes, really driving a strong model to follow for future engagement periods. We also created a new brand standards that's been utilized across all of our marketing content, including custom illustrations to kind of begin the Hops brand library, all resulting in a cohesive branded experience, no matter what piece of paper you pick up or what platform you're on. And then we launched the agency's first writer newsletter called the Writer Report, resulting in an 87% open rate and a 32% click-through rate, which really blows industry standards out of the water. And then as we conclude in Q4, we conducted our first writer survey with those impressive results that I shared with you earlier. We introduced a new trifold brochure for new and existing writers, which is being handed out at community events and is on display at key community locations. We also produced a travel training video, which really helps our team educate the community about using the Hops services, but it also allows them to educate more people than before because we can now do a combination of in-person as well as virtual. And it provides kind of a lasting resource for writers who can go back and refer to that video as a reminder if needed. And then we used all of our learnings in 2025 to build out a really robust marketing communication strategy for 2026, which is well underway. And we're already starting to see great engagement and response from writers in the community. Lastly, just wanted to provide the board with an update on the Hops rebranding process. As I lightly mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, as you may have heard, the Hops board voted on a new name and design for the Hop pending the identification of funding to support the initiative. And here on this slide, you'll see the final logo and the vehicle design here on the slide. The Hop will be in the future moving to the Ride. And this was voted on by the Hop board in September of 2025. So since September, our staff has been working really diligently through two main objectives to move this initiative forward. The first is identifying available funding for the rebrand, which we believe we've identified that appropriate funding for both rural and urban expenses, but we are just waiting on approval of those funds. And we hope that we will be hearing back like in late spring, early summer. And then the second is the development of an RFP to competitively procure vehicle wraps, which will be implemented once the funding is available. The vehicle wraps themselves are the largest. The installation of those wraps are by and large the most expensive portion of that rebrand. So we just want to make sure that we identify the funding and that we competitively procure for the services. But ideally, we believe that we can begin marketing the rebrand in Q3 of this year, and then throughout Q4 and beyond, and then the vehicle wraps could start rolling out in Q4. But again, it's a conservative timeline and one that really hinges on the funding resources, the approval of those funding resources. But I think we're feeling pretty confident about that timeline. So overall, the team really had an incredible 2025, both operationally as well as from an engagement perspective. We're extremely proud of the performance that we've seen, as well as the innovative and impactful campaigns and the ways that we've been engaging with the community. And we're excited for 2026. And we are currently exploring new ways to share a lot of those performance metrics with stakeholders in the community as well. So be on the lookout for that. I know I spoke very quickly, but this concludes my presentation. Myself or Raymond would be happy to take any questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
So congrats on the new logo design. That's phenomenal. Is that going to apply to microtransit and fixed route and paratransit all the same?
So paratransit has been put into microtransit. One thing that we were literally just talking about it this morning was maybe coming back and looking at our commuter service that connects all 5 cities and branding that not necessarily differently, but adding to the brand so they can, when people are at a mobility, let's say at Coppers Cove or downtown Temple, and there's a microtransit vehicle and another commuter vehicle that they don't necessarily look the same. If we're actually using the same type of vehicle, it can get a little confusing. So we may differentiate that through some additional labeling on or branding on the vehicles. But for the most part, this is going to be system-wide. So you'll see on the big buses right now, we just have, they're white, completely white. They have to hop on it. We're gonna literally just put a new sticker on the side of it that says it right.
Hopefully it works better than me when I pick up a can of Coke Zero and immediately regret it because I don't like Coke Zero, but the label looks so close.
One of the other reasons we're doing this is we've had the brand for 20 plus years, and refreshing the brand also creates additional excitement. We think refreshing the design can also bring next generation riders to the system. We want to make sure that we're always resonating with the communities that we're serving. So as we mentioned before with the survey data, we tend to skew. What I was really happy with was this new system actually skewed. The system used to be predominantly for elderly and disabled. We're starting to see a lot more other uses for business use, for education.
Right.
So it's a very healthy spread if you look at those metrics across the board, what you would expect if you're actually adding value to the community that you're serving, because you want to serve all people, not just a particular segment of the people. So we're really happy with that. I think the board is excited about the new brand. I think it's a fresh look, new design, which could really help us kind of punch up our service. The other thing that we didn't present here is that we've been working with, even though our region, in comparison to some of the larger metropolitan areas in the country, we're not at that level, but we're definitely punching above our weight class. We have both Uber and Spare, which are global companies that continue to modify and improve their service. So one of the big things that we did so our first year was kind of roughing it in. The second year is all about optimizing the system. And just in some of the tweaks that we've been making and will be making over the next 6 months, we're starting to see almost a doubling in the efficiency of the service. So the number of people we're carrying per trip is going up, which is going to lower our cost and carry more people and create more opportunity, because we know from the service that we have a high cancellation rate, and that cancellation rate, sometimes some of those people are because a trip wasn't available as quick as they wanted it to be available. So we think that there's kind of pent up demand that we'll start seeing flow through the system, so we'll just become more efficient as we go. So I'm really proud of the team and the board for just supporting this massive change that we've done over the last couple of years. It's getting recognized all over the country. We're being asked to speak at different events. Even the software companies asked us to sit on a couple of panel presentations in the future because of all the great work that's happened.
You guys are crushing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nicole.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, I was curious on the survey data, was that just riders in the UZA, or was that also the commuters?
That's the
Like
That's the entire service area. So it includes all 3 counties plus land passes.
Thank you. And then how did y'all distribute the survey?
We did a combination of digital distribution. So through the rider app, through our rider newsletter, through Facebook, through direct emails to riders. We also put signage inside of our vehicles with a QR code. And then we also had print distribution.
Thank you.
It's pretty evident. I mean, that was a really good, the volume of input we had was incredible. I was really happy with that as well.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you. All right, agenda item 7 is a discussion item regarding the KTMPO federal certification review. This is pages 26 through 30 in your packet. This is a brief item. As you may recall, we went through this effort in 2022. This is our 4-year required certification review to ensure that we are following the planning processes that the federal government would like us to follow. That information is in your packet. The letter from DOT, Federal Highways, and FTA is in the packet for you to view. Has been sent, of course, to the chair. We have had conversations. We have a new Federal Highways representative. They'll be here at the February Policy Board meeting to meet everybody. For the last 8 years, we've had the same Federal Highway rep, so this will be a new rep. He'll be looking for some different things, but he has assured our team that, you know, his big assurance was this is not a disciplinary type of thing. We want to be here to show you where you can make improvements, not where we can point out your shortfalls or shortcomings. So he's excited to be our new MPO coordinator, and we're excited to have him. He's been with Federal Highways over 30 years, maybe. He's been around a long time. And we've already started working through our desk review audit type materials to get him the information he needs. And with that, I'm open to any questions that anybody may have. Agenda item 8 is a discussion item regarding the draft FY 27 to 30 tip, pages 31 through 50 in your packet, Callie.
All right, so it's time for us to start our new FY 27 to 30 tip. The first draft will be due at the end of February, and then we'll bring it again to you in March, and then we'll be asking TAC and Policy Board for final approval in May. And within your packet, there's a big spreadsheet, and this is kind of an exercise. We did all of the UTP allocations, and we programmed for the FY 27 through 30 tip, and then also on through to FY 35 for all of our programming. Within that, we are suggesting that we add 4 new Category 2 projects within the tip for the FY 27-30, and of course, we'll be carrying over any tip projects that are in the let dates of 27 or 28. So we'll be picking those projects up as well, but we're also recommending adding 4 new Category 2 projects. We're also recommending adding 2 new Cat 7 projects. And then for Cat 9, there are not any projects that we had in our project listing. We only had about $800,000 left over from the projects we already have, and all of those are programmed already, and they are in, they have a let date of 2028. And so with all of those projects, we didn't have any other projects that we could fit into the tip and still be in fiscal constraint. When it comes to the UTP, we are recommending adding 6 new Category 2 projects, 1 new Category 7 projects, and then for Category 9, 2 new Category 9 projects. And those would be outside of the tip, but we'd be putting them in for funding at a later date. Does anyone have any questions?
I think everybody's just amazed. There is a lot of information in these financial documents, and you know, we purchased the tip tracking software to assist us with this, and as we go through, like everybody's aware, we found gaps in that software where we're probably going to need to make some changes, but there is a ton of information, and staff has spent hours in spreadsheets trying to allocate funds where they were talked about in previous policy board meetings, where we had discussions and said, hey, we're not going to fund this right now, we're going to fund it in 2 years, but you know, staff have to be reminded of that or find it in the record. So I mean, it really has been an effort that we have gone through. We're happy to answer any questions you may have. On the large spreadsheet, you'll see that we do have remaining balances that are available for programming, but they're, you know, like the Cat 2 is $323,000. You know, you can't fund a Cat 2 project with $300,000. You know, if it came down to it, we could slide it into, you know, the I-35 or, I don't know, stop sign or something. But, you know, and Cat 9 is the same way. We have about 1 year's allocation. You can't do a lot of trail and livability projects for 800,000. I think we have one in there, but it has a let date to be determined, so it couldn't even move forward. And then the Cat 7, you know, you'll see that's we have our biggest amount of, I guess, leftover funding in that. There aren't projects we can fund for the $1.3 million. We just don't have that in there. But this also, that specifically allows us the opportunity, if there are project overages, like we've been made aware of by a couple of jurisdictions, that there are some funds there to cover some of that as we move forward and wait for the Chaparral project to come to pass and get a full filling for what our PIP and UTP dollars are going to look like in years following that. So there's really been a lot that's gone into this. Is not an action item. This is just a discussion item. But I'm happy to have Callie try to answer any questions you may have.
I'll just say thank you to both Uryan and Kendra working with Temple over the last week or so. We're going through financing plan and budget amendments. And there's both the city and reinvestment. So trying to balance who pays for what, how much, when. We're in the middle of it. This draft is coming at the right time. You and I have been on the phone and emailing back and forth. I'm sure your eyes are crossed, which is why you're not wearing your contacts this morning. But I appreciate all the time y'all are putting into this.
Any other questions or comments?
So I would just ask, you've received an email either from Callie or myself to look out to the full, at least in the next 10 years. We've received a couple of updates from some of our entities, but if you have not received an email, please reach out. We're asking that you review this project list. If you see your project with a date to be determined, please review that possible date and get that submitted back to us so that when we do go back through this exercise, we're not having to skip projects because we don't have dates. We want to be able to fund as many projects as possible. Those projects with dates, please review those as well, just to make sure that we have the most accurate let date, as well as estimated costs. We've received some updated project costs to account for inflation from some of our entities as well. So that information is greatly appreciated. And I think just the big key takeaway is just reminding of the process that is outlined in the project scoring and selection process is what we followed as far as rank, readiness, and let year, and available funding, obviously. So that is how we arrived at these projects recommended for the current TIP as well as the UTP. But again, this is just a draft form. Callie is needing to enter the proposed TIP projects into the e-STIP by the end of the month. So if there is any further discussion or questions, please reach out this week so that we can prepare our final documents for the e-STIP portal.
I know you send us a list with 3 projects. We still don't know what one of them is. It's
Okay.
the NEV, because.
That's the NEV, that's a state project.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out what that is, like, we're asking around and city
The
manager.
NEVI funds were, I think Killeen got one, there was another one in our region too, I think. But yeah, we had to put those in at the request of TxDOT.
Okay.
To be funded.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what is, we're all scratching our heads. trying to figure
They
out
don't
what this
take
thing
away,
is.
They what?
they don't take away from any of our categories that we mentioned today. They're their own thing.
Okay. And then on Chaparral, we know that we still have to update the project description again this year. So we can keep that moving forward.
I do want to bring one more to your attention. So the green column on the far right represents our TIP. So you see that there is a balance in each of our categories 2, 7, and 9. The dark gray column, which is second to the left, that represents our full UTP. So for category 2, for example, you'll see an overage of about 4 million. That's where we'll go to TxDOT and request perhaps Cat 4 to cover that 4 million, or if we need to cut back on how much is programmed, just to tee that off, we can. But all of the other categories, 2 and 7, or I'm sorry, 7 and 9 and 10, there's still a balance there. So that shows that we are still under constraint to those categories, except for that category 2 for the full UTP.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Just in terms of a call for projects, what's the schedule there?
We are still working on the scoring process. I spoke with Raymond about this just a little bit earlier. We're still interacting with folks at KTMPO. They've got a good methodology. It's just the full thing won't work for us. So we've got to find a way to kind of mix that with what we do. So I am anticipating, and Kendra can correct me if I'm wrong, it'll probably be the fall sometime. And we've had a chance to take all that information. Is that too soon? Or?
I think within the next year to year and a half, for sure, we'd like to have one more before the next MTP update, which is in 2029. So we'd like to have one more before then. But in the meantime, you know, if there are major updates or changes that we can take into account with this list, please send those at any time.
All right, any other questions?
I do have one on Cat 10. It's showing a deficit. How is that deficit? On the far right.
The 335,000.
On our earlier conversation, you were saying there's not going to be any more Cat 10 funding. So are we over the tip of our skis on that, or do we need to reprogram some funding?
Do you have any insight on that?
Not at this time.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you guys were looking at calling some projects back or what you're going to do there. Okay, thank you. 35,000. Well, it is, but in that category.
Yeah, we just
yes,
have
we made
one
it.
project. It's a Rainier Avenue clean project. That's the only project that we have in the next several years. And as Uryan mentioned, we won't be getting any more CR money. But at this time, we've not been directed to pull that project down. So unless we hear otherwise, we'll continue, and perhaps that overage will be absorbed elsewhere.
Yeah, would that be eligible for Cat 9?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know when we programmed these, we took from the program 7 and 9, so because these were projects that were moving out the door, so it would potentially be eligible for other funding. Like Kendra said, though, we haven't received any notification that we have to call that. I don't know if you've heard anything, Victor, but our latest understanding is we have to have it spent by the end of 27.
So, yeah, I would make sure you know.
Yeah, we're gonna move full tilt boogie for God and Country.
Yep.
And see if they make it come to fruition, or we've got to make it. But we can look into it, especially if it's just that one project, see what options we may have should XDOT tell us more. Any other questions? All right, agenda item 9 is a discussion item regarding KTMPO's travel demand model update. Hey.
All right, just some background about our current model. It was developed back in 2015 with a 2045 interim year and a 2050 forecasted year. Delivered, the final TDM was delivered in 2023 for the 2050 MTP. Our next MTP is due July 29, like Kendra just mentioned, with the model delivery target around from TPP around 12 to 18 months before the final delivery of the MTP. Then our current responsibilities for it, we're soliciting a consultant to provide the TDM master network and traffic analysis zone databases with the current tech stack format for the base year 2025, 2030 interim year, and the forecasted 2055 year. Their tasks will include reviewing, if needed, and updating the base year master network attributes, alignments, and coding, the 2030 interim and the 2055 forecasted horizon year networks, including attributes, alignments, and codings to reflect our projects, updating the TAS geographies, hitting all physical and attribute edits, and providing zonal level demographics for the base year, interim, and the forecasted year. And then that is our timeline for the TDM.
Thank you, Jay.
No problem.
Any question on the TDM?
I'd just like to say that from the Hill Country Transit District's perspective, one of the things that we need to do a better job of as a district is making sure that we're emphasizing multimodal opportunities. So I've served on the 2025, the statewide 2025 strategic plan, and the leadership at TxDOT has ensured that in that plan that when we're looking at corridors, that we're looking at multimodal approaches. And to have that from a strategy is one thing, but to actually get it ingrained into the corridor planning itself is another thing, right? So as I look at the MTP and all the documents that flow through this region, I want to do a better job. As an example, Daryl had sat down with your team and talked about the different projects that we want to look at. At least a third of those are being impacted by the widening of the I-35 corridor. So I need to go back and take a look at that, sit down with you guys as well as TxDOT to understand how we can be more efficient. Maybe some of those projects come off and we replace them with something different. But a park and ride and other things that we were looking at to get more efficient throughput along that corridor, it's going to change with this whole project. So you'll be hearing more from me as we move forward. Yeah, move forward. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Any other feedback? Okay, agenda item 10 is a discussion item regarding an update on consultant responses to the KTMPO task orders. Kendra.
Just a quick update. We had our original 3 task orders that are in your packet due by the 30th of January. We extended that by 1 week due to the winter storm. So we expect that we have received 2 of our responses back, but there is 1 more consultant that will be submitting before this Friday. And all of those task orders will be reviewed, and a recommendation for approval will be brought back to the TAC and Policy Board in the coming months so that we can move forward with those efforts for the travel demand model demographics that Tay just mentioned, as well as for the regional asset and vulnerability and resiliency study. That is a study that needs to be updated as part of the scoring criteria for the next call for projects. And then also the congestion management process. It is well overdue, so that one as well needs to be updated for the next call for projects as well. So that is the latest, and so you'll see this item again in the next month or 2 for a recommendation for Policy Board.
Any questions on the task orders? All right, agenda item 11 is a discussion item regarding updates to the Regional Active Transportation Plan. Anita.
Thank you, Uryan. This active transportation plan is moving right along. Next week, we'll be having our TAC planning meeting, and they'll be reviewing the first draft. If you can go to the next slide. This schedule does have to be amended so that TAC can be the first to review the plan. And so the actual public engagement, 30-day public engagement period will run from February the 16th through April the 13th. So that we can get it out to the public. And then hopefully it'll be finalized in April, going to policy board during April. And we already discussed this in January, but two of the big compliments that we had are the land passes County State Park, and Marie Malone with Texas Parks and Wildlife will be presenting at our ATAC meeting next week. That's a big win for our region, even though Lampasas County is right on the cusp of the KTMPO boundary. We all know that active transportation plans do cross regional jurisdictions, so we want to be thinking bigger than ourselves here. Well, do y'all have any questions regarding that?
Any questions? No questions.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Agenda item 12 is a discussion item on transportation grants. Ashley.
Thank you. So we've compiled a current list of upcoming transportation funding opportunities. We have the Build Grant, the fiscal year 2026, All Electric Vehicle and Equipment Program, the TxDOT State Infrastructure Bank Loan, the EDA Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance Program, and the EDA Disaster Recovery Program. I have also compiled a log to keep track and document both past and future grants. And I will continue to provide updates to the TAC as new opportunities arise and grants open and close. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions? And if you have an interest in one of these specifically, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help where we can. Agenda item 13 is a discussion item regarding public input received through the previous month. Anita.
Thank you. We had a few comments during the month of January, and so that always is exciting. Here's a graph to show what they were in regards to. Of course, the I-14 expansion, public transit, roadway project safety, some information about KTMPO and the TIP. We had 32 survey responses for the TIP that closed out last month. There's a good start to our year. Do we have any questions?
All right. Thank you, Anita. No questions? Going once, going twice? All right, agenda item 14 is the director's update. I do not have a whole lot to update you on this time. You'll see the board meetings coming up. AMPO and TEMPO. TEMPO has a meeting scheduled for the end of March. It conflicts with the policy board meeting, so I doubt that we will have anyone there. AMPO, we have moved the policy board meeting from March so that staff can attend the spring fly-in in Washington, D.C. Other things that are going on, they are still working on reauthorization efforts. We're expecting to see marker bills around the end of February, beginning of March for surface transportation. Reminder, we were awarded the FY25 Safe Streets and Roads for All funding. We are waiting to do any activities associated with that until we have an actual agreement in place with Federal Highways. We've heard from who our rep is going to be, but I anticipate we're still weeks away from having a meeting to discuss the agreement with Federal Highways. Our air quality readings, do we have those on the slide? I don't have them in my packet. We're 50 and 48 parts per billion, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. No questions. Agenda item 15, any member comments?
Just like to second what Jason said. Thanks for your help earlier this week. Trying to steal all this data and pulling it all together. It's still a work in progress, but we'll certainly meet our mark, that's for sure. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
Any other member comments? All right, seeing none, it is 10:17 and we will adjourn. Thank you.